Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Hey, welcome back to the Innovation Unplugged, a production of the ACCS Innovation Center. I'm Houston Blackwood, the Workforce Director for this great program. Today I have my co-host, my partner in crime, Brandi Merrill, Director of Curriculum Design, and we've got two fantastic guests today. We've got Alan Smith, Dean of all things technical education at Gadsden State, and Baisha Woody is the maestro of all execution of all things non-credit technical at Gadsden State. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
great, Houston. We're excited about being on the program and being a part of this podcast.
Good. We're glad to have you. I know I totally butchered your titles, and that's okay because we don't really script anything.
No, but what an endorsement.
Yeah.
Maestro.
I know,
and
right?
What was Maestro? You were Maestro by what was Alan?
I'm Dean of all things.
Dean of all things.
I say jokingly all the time, like, believe it or not, there are other things going on at colleges besides Skills for Success, and Gadsden is one of those for sure. Man, they've got their hands in all kinds of stuff, and so and we'll talk about all those things later, but you guys have been with us from the start. When we first opened up Skills for Success, you guys took it and ran with it, and y'all were actually one of the first ones to run one of our biggest programs, and we'll get to that in a minute, but it's just nice to have you guys here. So briefly, give us an intro. We'll start with Alan and then Baisha, just where you came from and how you got to Gadsden State.
Okay. Well, I've been at Gadsden State about 5 years in the role of Dean of Workforce Development. I was an adjunct instructor in our building science program for a couple of years. I have a varied background. I got a number of years in K-12 and a number of years in industry. In K-12, I wound up doing everything from being a teacher, a coach, an administrator, and a bus driver, and just about anything else that I could think of, and then or that you could imagine in that situation. And also spent a number of years in the industry. I was a business owner. I was a contractor, built houses, and had a cabinet and millwork business in North Alabama, and we branched out probably within a 100-mile radius of the Gadsden area.
I always forget that you were a principal and teacher and coach, that's what we have in common. That's why we mesh so well. But I forget that about you. That's why everything's on time. Yeah,
I was as an administrator. I was in a tech school environment. It was a very small administrative role. I was a workplace simulated coordinator for the whole county, so it was a little different. But yeah, I was in that administrative role.
Yeah, but it parlayed to where you are now, so that it works out.
Mm-hmm.
Baisha,
the business side also helped with that too.
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Baisha, what about you? We were talking off air about your background.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, I've been here at Gadsden State now for right at about 17 years now.
Wow.
And I've served in a couple of roles. I've served in the support role, starting out in the Career Services office here at Gadsden State, and then branching into instruction. And so I taught here adjunct probably for about 6-7 years under the business division, and then transitioning into the skills training division. And my background kind of leads to I've worked in the field a lot in the business field first, and then I started working, I guess you can say, on the education side. I worked at Job Corps for about 7 years. So I worked with those students from 16 to 24 years old. So I've always had a passion of working with students and being able to help them get on the right track. And then, of course, my background being a collegiate athlete and playing sports that have, kind of led me to, all the disciplinary type things, kind of being structured a little bit, so to speak. And then just kind of helped me with everything that kind of has led me to where I am today here at Gadsden State. Mm-hmm. So kind of with Job Corps leading into that, coming into Gadsden State, it's always been in the student services area. And so, like I said earlier, leading into career services, teaching here at Gadsden State, and now on this side of things, on the professional side of things here at the college. So it's been a great road. And so I've enjoyed it. I've had a great career path that has gotten me to where I am here today.
I love hearing those stories because just about everybody, like that's just kind of how we start every time. And it's funny to hear, kind of everybody's background, little bits and pieces of what they've done and, their experiences and their roles have kind of led to this point, And
Yeah.
so I know y'all could probably both speak to how your role now really is reflective, of what you've done in the past. And so you just drew on all of those things. So it's cool kind of hearing, all of those things from both of y'all.
Yeah. Did either of you plan on being in the job you have now? Was that your goal when you were 5 years old or 18 or 25?
No, I had, a kind of a background growing up. An educator made a real strong impact in my life. I wanted to go into education, but I grew up around the construction industry, and I knew that I wanted to, be in education. After I had a career tech teacher, got really involved in student organizations as a career tech student, and I wanted to go that route, but I had a passion for entrepreneurship as well, and went into business and kind of combined both of those worlds. Had no idea that the job I do today was even a job.
Me neither.
At the time.
Well,
Never thought
mine
about
wasn't.
it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Yours wasn't, but 10 years ago, I would have, I looked at something perhaps, and I had a few businesses and everything, and I had been in K-12, but the community college system wasn't really on my radar at the time. So absolutely in territory now that I didn't think much about many years ago.
Baisha, did you have that same experience?
I did. I actually was wanting to be on the lawyer side. So from the lawyer to a paralegal side of things is where I kind of look back. Sometimes I still have my senior yearbook. And so I go back and look at those. I was in a senior year spotlight, and actually had in there where I wanted to have a news article, and had in there where I wanted to be a paralegal. Yeah. And so I was really wanting to be on the legal side of things. And believe it or not, when I went through my undergraduate courses, I actually took courses in criminal justice. So I took a minor in criminal justice, visited several prisons. And so I kind of got that little background. And then, of course, my family had restaurants. So I have been able to work in restaurant industry. So I know we'll probably get into this a little bit later when it comes to the food and beverage course. That has kind of helped me having that little bit of experience coming out of high school, working at a restaurant, and then my uncle having a business, and then working in his business when it came to the food industry. So, so got a little touch, a little bit of everything there.
I love that.
Definitely did not see maybe necessarily here in this area, but always somewhere helping somebody.
Yeah, I could see that. So you brought up a good point about the food and beverage and that experience and how that leads to your ability to serve. So let's just jump right into that skills of success, because that's really what we want to talk about. We'll talk about Gadsden State too, but I'm kidding. But you guys run all these courses, and you run so many so well, and all the other things that you're doing. How when you look back at your experience, and Alan, and we'll come to you on that too in a second, from your woodworking carpentry business mindset, and Baisha, to all of yours, the instruction, the business model, and then those job courses. How do you see the skills of success lining up to really help those students, and taking whatever strengths or experiences they have, if they're not K-12, if they're older students, taking those experiences and pushing them into something that they really are good at and interested in?
I think having those experiences, you're able to have it. I say you're able to share these skills on a more real life type basis. You're able to give them, okay, hey, this is what I did when I was in this setting, so those real life experiences just helps them to say, okay, now I can do this. Or, and I'll take for an example, our last food and beverage class, I actually worked with our instructor, and I helped with the first part of that class, which is the greeting portion and the serving portion. And then I always share with them, I say, one little mistake can hurt or break this business, whether it's a small business or whether it's a well-known business, Olive Garden. And so I'm able to use those experiences that I've experienced as a greeter in a family-owned restaurant, and be able to share those experiences. And you know what? It opens up the conversations. And it opens up to people that may not have necessarily said anything
Yep.
and didn't like being around people. I know our last food and beverage class, we had one young lady, she was like, I really don't like being around people. And she was really serious, but because of those conversations that we were having, from things I was able to share, from things that I had experienced, well, okay, then the other people start to open up about their experiences that they had, whether they had prior experience in a restaurant or they had gone to a restaurant and had a certain experience. And so when those conversations started, it kind of opened her up, and it made it so fun throughout the whole day. And I mean, and we heard from her throughout the whole day.
Okay.
She just
Good.
started talking, and so even though she didn't like being around people, being able to just do that type of skill just opened her up. And so just having those real life experiences, I think, just gives other students to say, hey, okay, now I really can do this. I can really be around people, and so those types of things. So I think it just opens them up. You're able to share the real life experiences.
Well, that's the motto of ACCS on all our branding is real, like real period, life period, education. And that's why it's beautiful. Alan, what about you? We ran a carpentry lab. Carpentry helper. That was your pilot course, and of course, that's your background.
Well, he wrote it.
I
He
know.
helped write it.
I know. So you take all that experience and put it to life into this course that now has impact across the state. Like, what was that like for you, taking your passion and your skill and giving it to people around the state?
It was a great experience for me, and I look at things a little more philosophically at this point in my career. And I look back at where I was, and growing up, I was blessed enough to be around, career tech program where I learned some skills very young. I was blessed enough to be, whether I didn't think it was a blessing at the time, but to get some skills at a very young age, working in construction, being around some people that I learned from. And, I had to do it to survive because that was the way that I grew up. But it's really good that I have that background. And that was a beginning point for me because, I told you I wanted to go into education later. And I was able to work my way through college with those skills. And then when I wanted to go into business, I had the skill set ready and had the background there. So writing the course and I probably called and emailed you guys many times and said, hey, don't forget about me. I'm ready to write that course. But it was really a kind of a time for me to pour back into others that may be starting out. Where I started out, I think about all the times where knowing what I know and learning the things the hard way, everybody says it takes 10,000 hours to be a master at something, and there's no telling. I probably had that 10,000 hours in at a pretty young age because I just worked all the time coming up and then being in business. But I feel like I was able to, put that out there. So if somebody wants to come along and learn that, it's a starting point. And from that, they can gain the confidence and they can either go into a helper role or, what we would all like to see people to continue their education as far as they want to go. But it provides that opportunity for so many people. And construction is kind of an interesting thing. It doesn't really matter what your location is. If you have a good work ethic and a background in construction, you can find a job. And if you want to advance and, keep trying and keep improving yourself, the sky's the limit. I used to teach construction and I told my students, I was more focused on just the state of Alabama at the time, but I was, I would always say there's 67 counties in this state. You're not going to go to a single county in this state where you're not going to be able to find a millionaire in that county that didn't acquire that in construction. It's something I guarantee you of all the counties you got. So you'll be well off. And of course, I think of it now more nationally as well. So it was a pretty cool experience writing that course. And I'm looking forward to it having an impact for many years to come all across the state.
Well, you did a lot of work in that course, and it would not be what it is for sure without your knowledge, expertise, and time spent. I think one of the coolest things was when we went out to film was really kind of watching those community partnerships that you have and how you really drew on those to say, hey, and that's part of our model, right? Is, really kind of pulling in those folks that serve the community in that industry. And you did that. So can you talk just a little bit about what that looks like in terms of when we go and build a course, what did that mean to pull in those community partners and what did they do?
Well, for me, it was probably easy because, I've been around this area, 30 plus years of relationships have, been leveraged into being able to bring the people, to the community college because of having that professional background. And the fact that what the Skills for Success program is doing is something that resonates well with the industry and resonates well with, helping people, get a quick start on their road to bettering themselves or getting an education of some type. It makes it easy. I think Skills for Success, before there was an innovation center and the Skills for Success, I remember talking to Houston about some of the things that would be coming. And I think, with the short-term training and everything like that. And I think it's done a really good job of getting the message out or getting the availability to go pick up a skill that's going to help industry where they need it the most. I want to back up and talk about the industries a little bit, Brandi, because, as a business owner, I cannot tell you how many dozens of times I would have to either tell someone I couldn't hire them when I really needed to expand my business because they didn't have the basic skills, or tell them I couldn't pay them a very affordable wage. I could bring them on and train them. And I had a really good training program in my businesses that I had to teach people. But being able to talk with the industry partners and the people in the community, in the business, about how the quick learning aspect will, get somebody where they're job ready to be safe in the construction industry, know the terminology, know, some things, and not just be completely lost when they walk out there, made a lot of the industry partners and the folks around our area say, hey, that sounds like, something that's good, and I'll help out. I'm all in. So it was easy to get them once I explained the process to them.
And you did a good job doing that too. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great point. When you sell the carpentry or other courses, how often do they question the speed and conciseness of this course? So now CDL, I know a lot of folks have more or less settled on where that lands. But when you say carpenter, helper, and they often miss helper, they think you're training carpenters in 2 days. Well, no, you're not. So, Baisha, as you go out and try to promote this into your area, how do you explain the helper level, the speed, the conciseness, and how it all works?
And I can use truck driving for an example because, before innovation, of course, all of our programs were 5 to 6 week training programs. And so it's just going out and telling them you're still getting the same type of quality education. You're still getting the quality training. You're still getting the same type of skills. Our instructors make sure of those things are taught to the individuals. And so we preach that. So I guess you can say our message hasn't changed. Only is just a time frame and just ensuring them that they're still getting the same type of quality training in that shorter period of time. And we always tell them, we're providing, like I said, in our truck drive, we got a little motto, safe, skilled drivers.
Yeah.
We preach that same motto. And so when talking with business and industry regarding, okay, well, they're only going to be with us for this 3-week time frame, but we also share with them, believe it or not, hey, if our drivers feel as though that they have not adapted to those concepts, of those skills, then we won't necessarily test them just yet if our trainers do not feel as though that they're ready. And so we typically have individuals ready because the amount of time that our trainers put in to making sure that they do understand the skills, they do understand the backing techniques, they understand, how safe it needs to be when they're on the road. So our motto has not changed. So we're still pitching that same message to the business and industry partners. And so we don't have much kickback from that when it comes to that. And that's just like all the other skills for success programs. We know that we have trainers that are putting out quality training, and we want to make sure of that. Dean Smith can tell you, I'm pretty much there at every beginning class of every lab that we have, because I want to ensure that our instructors are doing what they're supposed to do. They're carrying out the labs like they're supposed to. They're following the curriculum like they're supposed to. And they're also ensuring that the students are being safe and that they're learning, but they're also having fun as well. And so when the students come to our labs, they leave feeling renewed. They leave feeling, okay, now I'm ready to go do it, and so we at Gadsden State, we try to do that. And so, of course, with our Skills for Success programs, that same motto that we have for truck driving, we're still doing that same motto and passing it along with all of our other Skills for Success programs.
Well, I don't think anybody could have said that any better. I mean, just setting the bar and saying, here's what we do, here's why we do it. And here's why it works, and here's where we're going to set that bar, and that's where we're going to keep it. It's just what a testimony, and we've got 23 other colleges that are also doing the same, but I love hearing it in the words, right? Because we know that's being done. Just, you just spoke it so well.
When we started, we had our first was a food and beverage lab, and the whole Innovation Center team, which was 4 of us at the time, a different 4. We were there, and then we had the next whatever the thing was. We were all there, and I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, there's no way, if this really works, that we're all going to be at every lab ever. And at that time, it was like, well, we've got to be there to make sure. I'm like, y'all, we have to trust the colleges to run this, because it's good. If we do our job, it's going to go kinetic. And sure enough, like that next that spring with the CDL, and then the summer with HEO, heavy equipment. And then it started going crazy, and I'm like, hey, listen, we're going to have to just let them run. Like, we'll go to the first one, and then we got to trust them. And so know that from the deepest parts of our soul and our spirit that we appreciate that line in the sand that you hold. Because it's...
You need to also know with what Baisha does and what we do as a team, with my construction background, one thing I talked to her about heavy equipment, I ran crews in and out of permits that OSHA would frequent, back in the day. And, OSHA started finding things on construction sites, it would quickly go above $50,000, in fines.
Oh, yeah.
So I never had one, by the way, but we implemented walkthroughs, we implemented safety zones, toolbox talks that go along with every lab. And Baisha is extremely well at getting information out there and processes as we've kind of gone through that together. We do that with our labs to ensure safety and do as much briefing as we can for, informational purposes. Back to your question a minute ago about how you get the word out to industry and talking to them about, a helper versus a trained person. After some talks you and I had when I was writing the carpentry course, I began to just take the narrative of, imagine this is someone who's been on your job about 3 weeks or so, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. They know where, they know the terminology, they know what the tools are, they know how to be safe. They're not, a seasoned carpenter, but they're at a point now where you can get them there. And I had so many people when I was in business, whether we were framing houses or delivering cabinets, I was always picking up people, just pick something up, and move something. And, I had probably hundreds that came through, and we're getting people now so that they feel safe when they're on the job, and they see that they can get out there and make a career of it, or it's a starting point and they can earn money. And, construction so specialized. I built houses for years, whether it's electrical contracting, plumbing contracting, or millwork, or, sheetrock or concrete. A lot of them need those basic foundations of knowing the terminology, knowing, the different tools and power tools and that sort of thing. So I think that really fits well with the industry and what the people in our area and statewide want to hear as far as the employers.
I can't wait to see what they do, they being Gadsden. I cannot wait to see what y'all do when we have plumbing ready, and that's coming next month.
We have big plans.
Month after. So if you bundled, I mean, you could have, gosh, the sky's the limit. You could have your carpentry, your plumbing, your electrical. I mean, you could bundle all that together and just be like the
You're forgetting
ridiculous train of
flooring.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Did y'all know we were building a flooring course?
Yeah.
Yes. No, we're ready. We've been talking about it.
We're ready for the water treatment course too.
Well, that's
It's well on it. I was trying to think of something funny with water, but that didn't work out well. But
it's flowing well.
it is flowing. That's good. Okay, good.
We need a drum set.
Good. I know, right?
Okay.
Absolutely, that is coming too. Yeah.
We have meetings every Monday, and every Monday I ask Baisha, when is such and such?
When is it gonna be ready?
What can we do?
Well, we ran into a homeland security issue with going on site to these big water facilities.
Sure.
You can't take cameras in there randomly.
Yeah.
Who knew? Then it makes sense. But so yesterday, Baisha called and she was asking about how we're going to set this all up and just details. And she told me something about some transition from your carpentry helper courses into the Gadsden State courses. So tell us about that.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about articulating some of the carpentry helper course content, and so we can do prior learning assessment. As career technical dean, I have to ensure that our instructional integrity is up to the required level of SACS COC, and I've been looking at how we can offer the opportunity to articulate some of the knowledge and training that someone gets in the theory portion and the lab portion of the Skills for Success course, so that they can come on in to get a short-term certificate in carpentry without having to retake any of that. We don't want people, having to take something twice. If they can come in and we can do a learning assessment and validate those skills and see where we can, make them, a more marketable person sooner, getting to the industry, and still, keep the instructional integrity and validity of our institution with SACS COC. We're looking at good ways to do that, and I think we're excited to be moving forward in that direction.
Love it. That's ultimately what, all of them are. The intent is for, somebody to enter and then continue on, whatever that continuation looks like. But ultimately the colleges, and y'all are already looking forward to say, it parallels with this course, or it enters into this course, then it could enter into this short term, and then it could enter into this long term, whatever that pathway looks like. Offering those opportunities to those students is exactly what this was meant to do.
Have you had anybody transition from carpentry helper to your short certificate courses?
We have, actually.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Baisha, tell us all about that.
So we have a person that had actually did one of our other Skills for Success programs. She went through the, I think, skid steer course. And so when she first heard about the carpentry helper coming out, we shared that information with her. She enrolled in that, and so the instructor, of course, at that time also had some encouragement with her in that. And then she knows Alan very well as well from being a prior student here at Gadsden State, that for whatever reason she did not return back to Gadsden State, and so she's been involved with some of our Skills for Success programs. And then she got started with the carpentry helper on her second Skills for Success program, and so was talking with her, and it kind of aligned very well because Dean Smith had, there were some grant funds available. And so at that time for women. And so when our Skills for Success course ran for carpentry helper, it ran in enough time for her to be able to start the summer term here at Gadsden State.
Okay.
And so she was able to get a scholarship through, Dean Smith can talk to that scholarship a little bit more, but she was able to receive that scholarship to come into Gadsden State's construction program here.
That's great.
We're off air. We need to talk to her.
Yeah.
We'd love to, because that's exactly what we want is, a pathway. Like, we don't want people just to take the skid steer course and then go on about their business. Like, we want them to go into it or say, I don't like that, but I like this maybe. So they take a couple and figure it out. But when someone finds a niche and now they've got 2 of our credentials, from the Skills Success and the Gadsden State, and now they're moving on into the next level. Like, we want to highlight that, and and all of your interaction and do a story. I'm sure Caleb would love that, but
she's a non-traditional student, and her career goal is to manage and own rental property. And so
perfect.
She is, she's actually gone through our surveying course recently. And so she's kind of kicking around the idea of looking at our civil engineering technology program, but her long-term goal is, rental property. She's got another job, and it works really well to her schedule to take the Skills for Success courses.
I will tell you, never thought about tying those 2 things together, but that is brilliant. That is brilliant to take that land survey helper and tie it to like wanting to own rental property, and then you can survey your own area. You know what I mean? Like just taking that knowledge and applying it to what your plan is, and just people are always being so creative with all these things. That's great.
Let me tell you what our plans are, and I know we're, low on time maybe, but we just opened this 50,000 square foot advanced manufacturing center, and it has now freed up some really nice space for us to move our skills training into. And we're going to have a 7,000 square foot lab. Well, no, it might be a little big, but somewhere around 6,000 or 7,000 square foot lab that we're going to dedicate to Skills for Success training primarily. We're going to house most all of our skills training in this building. We're going to, call it a rapid training center of some type. Of course, we're going to have our traditional workforce training, skills training courses in there, but we want to look at rotating courses within the career clusters, and how we sequence those out with Skills for Success. And then we can find out, if people because they're always wanting to come through multiple courses a lot of times. Then we can assist them if they want to, come to college for credit, or, we've got employers waiting to put them to work, and we'll be able to showcase it all under one roof. So we're really looking forward to doing that.
I wish we had a sound effects button, because I would have just hit like applause. I think that was incredible. Incredible. I can't wait to see it. I bet he can. Yeah. We may have to add applause there. That is a brilliant plan. Well, and I can't wait to see it.
You know how things are when you're working towards a goal and at an institution. Sometimes the cogs take a little while, and things are slow to move, but we are really excited about it.
What kind of floor?
We're having an open house type thing tonight. Would you like to tell them about that, Michelle?
Oh yeah. So tonight we actually got a workforce event tonight. One of our career tech instructors, actually through civil engineering, the civil engineering instructor, the one that actually taught our land survey class. He had taught with Dean Smith and also the division chair, and wanted to put on this event. So we got a workforce event tonight where we're highlighting all of our technical programs, workforce programs, and just opened it up to the community. We're serving free hot dogs, popcorn, and I even got a little extra something there, Dean Smith, that I need to see him make some moves in this evening. So, but it's from 5
I have to lose the jacket and tie then.
Hey, if you'll take some video, we can go back and edit and enter that in right here.
I hope it's a Fat Elvis costume. That's my favorite Elvis.
That'd be great.
Hey, what kind
it's to highlight all of our events, and then so it's everything. We got our driving truck that's gonna be out there in the parking lot. We're gonna have things inside where just some of the different instructors from our technical areas have tables set up. So it just kind of come in, make it like a fun event just to highlight. Got door prizes, and then we just did the first 100. People come in, get a little free item of Gadsden State. So. Just want to highlight all of our programs.
Love it.
Tell them the flyer headline that you went with. I love it.
Yes, the flyer headline is "Workforce is where it's at."
There you go. I like that. Sounds like a t-shirt.
I like that. Sounds like a t-shirt.
Yes. Yes. The
Well,
workforce is very thin.
You could have dean of everything, maestro of all skills, something,
know. I was
and
making it
then
up.
workforce, whatever
like
on the
it.
back. That'd be great. I love that.
They're
You're on
right.
something, Brandi.
I know.
Yes,
Isn't
please.
it fun though to watch, like to have an idea? And we talk about this all the time because this is part of the fun of what this job is like having an idea and then watching it and then planning it and then watching it come to fruition and then watching what it does to serve those students. Like it's just the most fulfilling.
About 3 weeks ago, and it's been a lot of prayer. And we've got 4 years, this to almost to the day from the concept to the ribbon cutting of this building, and many barricades and challenges and hurdles. I walked down the hall of this building, and there's a course that I wrote in as dean called Workplace Essentials 101s. We teach every technical student, the importance of being on time, conflict resolution, and all the stuff that they don't learn anywhere else. We're teaching them now. So I walked by a classroom, and I see that class being taught in a building that, they weren't here before I came here. And a lot of it came with a lot of hard work and a lot of prayer. And that was a pretty cool moment.
Love it.
It is fun to see that. And that's how we've lived too with the Innovation Center. We were just an idea. And, the colleges had to buy into it. And a lot of blood, sweat, and prayers about that too. So
A lot of barricades.
Yep.
Right.
A lot of
Oh, yeah.
challenges, but the part of the fun of it though, if it wasn't for the challenges or the speed bumps or whatever, like you wouldn't look back on it and be like, whew, that was a journey, everything's not going to be smooth and perfect all the time. And if it was, it wouldn't be much fun because, all of us are problem solvers, and like to be challenged and that kind of thing. So I think that's part of the fun of it.
If it was easy, anybody could do it, and it wouldn't be your assignment. I
That's
think
right.
about it.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're getting short on time, Gadsden team. So tell us, in 5 years, what are you going to be celebrating?
Oh, wow.
you want to go first, Baisha?
I'll let you go first, Dave Smith.
So, I'm actually reflecting on my 5-year plan. There's a lot. I want the awesome things that are going on at Gadsden State regards to workforce and technical education to keep moving forward. I feel like we are knocking down a lot of barriers and helping people in our community. Our motto is, we want to change people for the good forever. I want to be celebrating that 5 years from now, whether it's from the role of Dean of Workforce Development at Gadsden State, or if the Lord has another assignment for me somewhere else, I want to be doing that and celebrating that professionally, because now more than ever, the community college system can change the landscape of the state one life at a time. And it's great to be, I guess, in some ways on the front lines to see this, how we have students that are non-traditional. We're in an area that's been hard hit in the past 5 years with some economic downturn and some industries leaving.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're a part of a revitalization and a resurgence. And 5 years from now, I want to be celebrating some big things along that line professionally. And personally, who knows, maybe, running, I don't know,
For mayor?
10 or 12 more marathons or something.
I was about to say, I bet he's going to say marathon. Like it is. Didn't you just do some kind of
triathlon. I
triathlon?
really want to get more into that.
I saw that. The beauty of social media allows you to know a little bit about a lot of people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Bashia, 5 years from now, you toast your cup of whatever it's in your cup. You're toasting
Right.
to what?
I'm just going to say just the successes of more students, because, we've started with Skills for Success, and I think we've done a lot with truck driving, but I feel as though that we're just still getting started with these courses. I know the excavator course has been out there, and we're just now getting ready to host our first lab with that, and then also with bulldozer, and just seeing the number of individuals that have just responded from not us even advertising excavator and bulldozer. We just emailed the people that had already gone through skid
Right.
steer. And so just looking at the number of responses from those. So I'm just looking at celebrating the successes of more people. We've been able to serve a lot of students, a lot of community people, a lot of we've served a lot of K-12 students, even without having to go to their schools.
Yep.
They have just come to us. And so we're just now getting started with some of the courses. We're just now getting started with a lot of the K-12 schools. And so I think we're just getting started. So in 5 years, just looking to celebrate the successes of all the people that we have been able to serve and to help. I'm just looking forward to it. Still on this bandwagon, and so let's Dean Skip or somebody else says something different. But other than that, I'm here for the challenge. So,
We're all gas and no brakes, but
Yes.
I say,
We said that too.
Yeah, I would edit that and say all gas, no brakes, and all smiles. Because every time I talk to Bashia, I hear the laughter and the joy in her voice, and she may have a problem, but she's darn happy about it.
Yeah.
She's ready to answer some kind of question. As you guys move forward, you guys are always creative. I encourage you to bundle these skills for success courses.
Yes.
You got our land surveyor that you can put in with that excavator and dozer, and even the carpentry helper, and set up like the bases for curbs and light mounts and different things, and get them some real dynamic experience. And we get some simulators coming for heavy equipment that allow you an avatar experience. So just don't ever say no, and don't ever think you can't, because we could probably find a way.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, that's one of our mottos: find a way.
Yep.
Figure it out. It's all figure outable.
Yeah. So we are really close on time. So just final thoughts from Dean Smith, Bashia Woody. What do you want us to know? What do you want the world to know about Gadsden State?
Gadsden State is here to serve our 5-county service area in any way. We're excited that we can offer short-term training through Skills for Success, where somebody can, in their own time, complete something online and then come to a lab and get a certificate in as little as a day, or we can get them a 5-semester applied associate's degree, mechatronics, robotics, whatever they need. We can get them what they need to change their lives for the good forever.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I'll say from me, and I've pretty much have said this ever since I've been at Gadsden State and have worked in the different capacities. And my thing has always been Gadsden State has something for everybody. And Dean Smith kind of brought out all those programs. So whether you have a high school diploma, whether you don't have a high school diploma or GED, whether you want to do something short term, whether you want to have that degree, whether you want to get a certificate, there is something for everybody. And so we're here to provide those services for those individuals. And so we're here for anyone who's willing to come. So there is something for everybody.
Well, you do a good job doing all that. And we
Absolutely.
appreciate you for sure. We appreciate your time today. So that's going to give us a wrap for this one.
Thank you. We have loved having y'all on, and y'all have shared your joy and your passion and a great message. So to all of our listeners, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all podcast platforms.